Hello, race fans, and welcome to Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports. We're here live from DBC Bar and Grill at 1001 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, Louisiana tonight. Watching 13 different televisions here at DBC Bar and Grill, different locations. Tomorrow night will be a great night to come out. College football, the NCAA starts tomorrow night, as well as NFL football will be playing tomorrow night. If I'm not mistaken, the Saints are on, and it's their last preseason game. Even though these games don't count, a lot of the, guys fighting for position will be playing. It's still a Saints game here in New Orleans, and that's what we'll be looking at when it comes to seeing who makes the roster. They made some cuts earlier this week, and so now they're working on that last set of guys, and they'll get them off, and then they'll be ready to go for the season. As some guys are getting cut around the NFL, you're going to see that a lot of those players coming from other teams that get cut, some of them may even wind up with the Saints because they may be better than what we've got. We're going to start out tonight talking about the NASCAR the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from last week and this week, and what we had going on there. As anybody that watches racing, you know that Kyle Larson got his first win last week at Michigan International Speedway, and that was a big relief for him. He celebrated and had a great time, and I'm sure Chip Ganassi, was happy for him as well to get that monkey finally off of his back. Now, hopefully it won't be so long that he'll win another race, be able to move on up the winner's standings there in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for Chip Ganassi Racing and that Target race team. He was younger than 25 years old, and that puts him in a record book there as far as being in a class of 73 of 2,485 drivers, which is only 2.9% in NASCAR Sprint Cup races, for which winners age under 25 has been known to win. Kyle Busch, 17, turned 25 today of his 17th win on May 2nd. So before he was 25 years old, he had 17 wins, and that's Kyle Busch. Jeff Gordon had 15 wins before he was 25. Joey Logano's got 9 wins. Kurt Busch had 7. Richard Petty had 7. Junior Johnson had 5. Tied with 1 each was Trevor Bayne, Chris Buescher, Bobby Burdick, Bobby Hillin Jr., Parnelli Jones, John Keeper, Terry Labonte, Kyle Larson, Ryan Newman, Bill Rexford, Fireball Roberts, Donald Thomas, and Brian Vickers. So all those guys had a victory in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series before they were age 25 years old. And that's, this is what's coming up in the next generation of racers. Kyle Larson, he had a great battle this past weekend over in Michigan with the son of the great Bill Elliott, Chase Elliott. Those guys run first and second for many, many laps. Just a handful of laps left at the end of the race, and Kyle Larson took the lead on a restart and never relinquished it. And unfortunately, for the second time this year, Chase Elliott finishes second place, and he is the bridesmaid instead of the bride. So, that's one of the things that you have to deal with, and hopefully soon he'll get that monkey off his back. But there's a lot of great talent that's coming up through this sport, and they're going to be able to, provide some of that excitement, especially, last year Jeff Gordon's retired, so that's one of the greats of the sport. Tony Stewart's retiring after this year. That's one of the greats of the sport. So a lot of people are asking, where's the next generation of racers coming from? Well, all you have to do is look back in the Xfinity Series, look into the Truck Series, and all those guys are there. And they're coming, and they're making their way up. I spoke a little bit about it last week with Eric Jones is going into a second team car of Martin Truex Jr. over at Furniture Road Motorsports. So that's going to be an exciting, race car driver to watch next year with the way he races now in the Xfinity Series, as well as the way he races in the Truck Series when he races over there. He is actually the defending Truck Series champion. Well, he's not the defending, but he is the reigning Truck Series champion because he races full-time this year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He can't compete for that Truck Series title. But he is competing for the Xfinity Series title. I think he's in the top 5 now with his finish last week at Michigan. But this is what you got to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. It is a lot of great racing. One thing that we do want to mention here tonight at Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports is the passing of Betty Jane France. She was known fondly as the First Lady of NASCAR. She died Monday, according to various sources, including a tweet from a family member. The NASCAR representative would neither confirm nor deny France's death, but a friend of the family late Monday night confirmed that she had died in the afternoon. Betty Jane's grandson, driver Ben Kennedy, sent out a message on his Twitter account that said, "We all miss you, Grandma. Thank you for being you. Still can't believe it. Hashtag never forgotten." Miss France was the executive vice president and assistant treasurer of NASCAR and chairpersons of the NASCAR Foundation. The Betty James France Humanitarian Award was created in her honor in 2011. Through the NASCAR Foundation, this award recognizes outstanding charitable and volunteer effort of NASCAR fans. For the last 5 years, France presented this award at the NASCAR Awards Banquet in Las Vegas. The native of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, France, the former Betty Jane Zachary, met her husband, William C. France, in her hometown. They married and soon relocated to Daytona Beach. Bill France Jr. rose through the ranks to become the chairman and CEO of NASCAR. He passed away in June of 2007 at the age of 74. France's children, Lisa France Kennedy, CEO of International Speedway Corporation, and Brian France, chairman and CEO of NASCAR, now lead the empire started by William H.G. France, along with Betty Jane's brother-in-law, Jim France, who is vice chairman of NASCAR and chairman of ISC, which is International Speedway Corporation. For those of you who don't know, that is the parent company of NASCAR. Betty James France was a community leader known as a champion of health care for children. She assisted in the establishment of a pediatrics children's care unit at Halifax Medical Center. And so that is just a little bit about Miss France, who passed away earlier this week. And, she lived to be a ripe old age, but you still hate to see anyone in your family or anybody else's family pass away. So we want to send out our condolences to her family and bless them all. May God be with them. Sad news also this week, Charles L. Hardy, age 82, of Hiram, Georgia, passed away at home surrounded by family on Tuesday, August the 30th. He was born December the 3rd, 1933 in Dallas, Georgia, to the late John Pickney and Simi Beatrice Hardy, and was preceded in death by his sister Mary Martin and granddaughter Jessica Hardy. Mr. Hardy founded Hardy Chevrolet Buick GMC in Dallas in 78 and Hardy Family Ford in 85. His wife Jeanette is the dealer principal of Hardy Chevrolet in Gainesville, Georgia. Prior to that, Charles was a successful home builder, mobile home dealer, and operator of Southern International Dragway. During the mid-1990s, Charles owned a NASCAR team and later partnered with Bill Elliott to form Elliott Hardy Racing Team, in which Bill Elliott drove the number 94 McDonald's Ford. Later, Mr. Hardy owned the NASCAR team, NASCAR's Craftsman Truck Series team, under sponsorship of Ortho. But that's his obituary, and if you want to see the complete obituary, you can read that on jayski.com. That's JAYSKI.com. But that's some more sad news coming out of the NASCAR world for this week. Moving on now. fan featured on Scott's number 44 at Darlington. Twisted Tea will be back on the hood of the number 44 Ford Fusion from the Richard Petty Motorsports racing stables, featuring their unique yellow and blue paint scheme with a special twist this weekend. Brian Scott and the number 44 Twisted Tea team will have a special fan photo riding along on the car this weekend's Bojangles Southern 500. That's in Darlington, South Carolina, thanks to a promotion by Twisted Tea. Through the Get Your Face in the Race promotion from Twisted Tea, fans sent in photos to be featured on the quarter panels of the 44 Twisted Tea Ford. Paige from Lewiston, New York, was chosen out of the many submissions and will have their photo. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Yeah, Paige from Lewiston, New York, was chosen out of many submissions and will have her photo. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I misread that part. Have her photo featured on the yellow and blue number 44 Twisted Tea Ford. She will also be able to see her face in the race this weekend and meet Scott as she attends the Southern 500 with 3 of her closest friends. That's coming out of the Richard Petty Motorsports stable press release from earlier this week. Top 10 driver ratings for Darlington is this weekend. Back in the number 88 will be Jeff Gordon, subbing for Dale Earnhardt Jr. His driver rating at Darlington is 111.2, followed by the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, the number 18 of Kyle Busch, the number 48 of Jimmy Johnson, the number 16 of Greg Biffle, the number 5 of Casey Kane, the number 4 of Kevin Harvick, the number 31 of Ryan Newman, the number 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the number 78 of Martin Truex Jr. So that gives you pretty much the top 10 drivers at Darlington as far as the ratings go. And that goes on how they finished in the past races. Some more news coming out of Richard Petty Motorsports this week was Richard Petty Motorsports announced competition changes to improve their on-track performance, effective immediately. Felipe Lopez and Scott McDougall will temporarily oversee all competition duties and roles previously held by Sammy Johns, both at the track and at the race shop. The change comes as part of an immediate aggressive strategy by RPM leadership to improve speed, performance, and future growth of RPM. The group is to improve on-track results from 2016 and to capitalize on the progress made in the previous season. The past several years, we have made significant investments in our organization with a goal of winning races and compete at a high level on a weekly basis, said Brian Moffitt, Chief Executive Officer of Richard Petty Motorsports. We now have direction over our own chassis and bodies and work closely with Ford Performance on technology and engineering. With these investments, unfortunately, we have not seen the on-track results that we expected this season. As we look ahead to 2017, we are taking steps forward to improve our on-track product to better serve our partners and fans. This means analyzing every part of the organization and making adjustments where needed. Sammy Johns has been a big part of our organization. He helped us succeed in many different ways and helped us become a winning race team. We wish him nothing but the best going forward. Lopez and McDougall will begin their duties at the track at Darlington this weekend, and that's coming out of Richard Petty Motorsports. So, folks, this is a performance-based, and for those of you who listen to Bobby Hebert when he talks, it's what have you done for me lately kind of strategy in NFL. Well, it's the same way in NASCAR. If you don't put a product out there on the track and it don't perform week in and week out, especially with the budget of, what Richard Petty Motorsports has and the support they have from Ford Motorsports, then you can be looking at, the opportunity. You're going to lose your job pretty quick if you don't perform. And so apparently they had decided they needed to make some changes there. They made some changes, and so now we've got a new strategy going for Richard Petty Motorsports, and we'll see how that works out for them the rest of the season as we get ready to go into this is the first of 3 races left for those Richard Petty Motorsports cars to be able to make it into the field for the championship, to compete for the championship, I should say. Michigan penalties and warnings announced. NASCAR has announced penalties and warnings following the Pure Michigan 400 at Michigan International Speedway on August 28th. The number 2, Brad Keselowski, failed the post-race laser inspection station measurement. The team was issued a P2 penalty for violations of sections 12.1, 20.17, 3.1.2. Crew chief Paul Wolf has been fined $15,000. Team has been assessed with the loss of 10 championship points and 10 owner-driver points. The following warnings were issued. Brad Keselowski got a warning. That's his third one. Regan Smith in the number 7, he got a warning. That's his fourth one. Ryan Newman in the number 31, he got a warning. That's his third one. Michael McDowell in the number 95, one penalty served in Michigan. Failed laser inspection twice, pre-race inspection, written warning. So those guys failed that inspection twice before they ever got to the race, into the race when they was checking in Sunday morning with their cars, and so they got a penalty. The number 30 of Josh Wise has one. Michael McDowell has one penalty, which served in Michigan. Failed laser inspection 3 times, pre-qualifying inspection, written warning, and lost 15 minutes of practice time. That would be the number 5 of Casey Kane, the number 24 of Chase Elliott, the number 46 of Michael Annett, and that is failed laser inspection twice, pre-qualifying inspection, written warning. The number 6 of Bain, Trevor Bain, no penalty served in Michigan. The number 7 of Smith, that's his fourth warning. The number 42 of Kyle Larson, failed template inspection twice, pre-race inspection. Both of them got a written warning. So basically what that is you've got template inspections and you've got laser inspections that NASCAR has implemented over the last years. And when you go through those inspections, if your car is not right, then, depending on how many times you have to go through, NASCAR has started issuing warnings. And then what happens after you get so many warnings, you get possibly, I think the first thing is you get docked time for practice. And that, is indicated there with loss of 15 minutes of practice time. And then as it goes on and progresses, they actually take your pit selection away from you. So if you've got these infractions and you qualify in third place, well, then you should have the third pit stall selection. But if you've got an infraction and NASCAR imposes that penalty on you, then they take that pit stall selection away from you and you pick last after everybody else is picked. So that is one of the consequences of these penalties that NASCAR hands down week in and week out. So here is moving on now for this week's race. That will be the entry list for the Bojangles Southern 500 Sprint Cup race at Darlington is posted 40 teams and 40 drivers. So because there's only 40 spots in the field, that means every driver will make the race. So that's good for all these teams that are going down to, from where I'm at, they're going up and over to Darlington. From where most of the race shops are up in Charlotte, North Carolina, they're going down to Darlington. All the teams, drivers who are not charter teams, an open team, and must get in via speed is the number 21 of Ryan Blaney, the number 30 of Josh Wise, the number 55 of Reed Sorensen, and the number 98 of Cole Witt. Since only 4 cars, like I said, are entered in the race, they'll all make the field, so they don't have to worry about that. Now they can focus on getting into the race on the quickest time possible instead of having to just set up their car to make the fastest qualifying run in order to compete against other drivers who may otherwise knock them out in the field. But so everybody's good to go. They'll all make the race this weekend, so now they can set up their race packages and do their qualifying with their race packages in, and they'll know what they got week in and week out. With that being said, we're going to move on to the Xfinity Series. And and we'll let you know some information about what happened there last week up at Michigan International Speedway as well, and what's going on this week at Darlington. There's a few things that's happening around the Sprint Cup Series. They also have throwback schemes over in the Xfinity Series. I mean to say, they also have the throwback schemes in the Xfinity Series this weekend. Not all teams will run them, but most teams will. Now, I said that the Xfinity Series run up at Michigan, but I was wrong on that. They run at the Road America course, and this past weekend. And the way it worked out, another part of history that was made last weekend with the Road America course, the Truck Series, as well as the Sprint Cup Series, all three divisions for the first time in the history of NASCAR, all three divisions had a first-time winner in each of those divisions last weekend. That's at Road America as well as at Michigan. So that's, NASCAR making another great, stride in what they're doing with getting these teams, to be a little bit more equal, and there to be more parity in that Michael McDowell won at Road America for the first time in the Xfinity Series. So that's a good job for him. He has won before, or I don't know. No, he hadn't won. He's finished, I think it was like second place or something like that. That's how he got noticed, was the way he running his own equipment in an underfunded team. But Michael McDowell won at the Xfinity Series race at Road America this past weekend. For those of you who are looking for something to do, maybe you're sitting at home, looks like the Washington Redskins and the Buccaneers, I see them on TV. I don't know if this is from last weekend. It may be, but I'm watching them on TV, and I know they've got Dish here, so this may be from last weekend. It's on the NFL Network. It could be from this week, but yeah, the Washington Redskins and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing on the NFL Network at this point in time. If you want to tune into some of that action as I'm watching it here at DBC Bar and Grill. Anyway, back to the NASCAR. Elliott Sadler still holds the points lead in the Xfinity Series, followed by Daniel Suarez, and Justin Allgaier's in third place, Ty Dillon's in fourth place, Brendan Gaughan's in fifth, and Eric Jones rounds out the top six. They're in the Xfinity Series, followed by Brendan Poole is in seventh, Brandon Jones is in eighth, Darrell Wallace Jr. is in ninth, and Ryan Reed's in 10th place. Blake Koch is in 11th, and Ryan Sieg is in 12th. Now, that is the top 12 that will make it into the championship as they stand right now. If it was to start this weekend at Darlington, those top 12 would be in the chase for the championship that would go for the, I think it's the last 10 races of the season. But they still got a few more races to go, and Dakota Armstrong's 15 points out. Jeremy Clements is 33 points out, and Ross Chastain is 34 points out. So if there is some big trouble for some of those guys down there at the, bottom, say, 3 out of that top 12, there's a possibility that somebody could move up and take that spot away from them. So that's something to look forward to over the next few races in the Xfinity Cup, the Xfinity Series, is the battle for those guys who are trying to make it in to the chase for the championship. What am I looking at here now? The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration partners with Chicagoland for the the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and something happened here. We lost our background music here. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but anyway, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration partners with Chicagoland for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race entitlement. Chicago Speedway announced that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, as the title sponsor of his NASCAR Xfinity Series Drive for Safety 300 on Saturday, September the 17th. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration was established in 1970 as part of the Highway Safety Act. Its sole mission is to focus on achieving high standards and excellence in motor vehicle and highway safety. Thus, there is no more perfect pair than the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and NASCAR. In partnership with NASCAR, the Traffic Safety Administration is focused on promoting life-saving highway safety and vehicle safety messages with their Drive for Safety initiatives. The program highlights topics including distracting drivers, seat belts, tire safety, 5-star crash ratings, and recalls throughout 2016 NASCAR season. So that is up at Chicagoland for the September 17th race up there. Sieg names 3 race sponsor honoring Dale Jarrett at Darlington. RSS Racing announces that Tri-County Landscape will return as its primary sponsor for 3 more races in 2016 starting at Darlington this weekend. In addition to Darlington, TCI will be on the number 39 car at Richmond and Charlotte. At Darlington, the team will run a special throwback paint scheme resembling the famous colors that Dale Jarrett ran in the late 1990s. Ryan Sieg commented, "I'm thrilled to have TCL back for 3 more races, and I'm honored to drive the special color scheme at Darlington." So that gives you the opportunity. If you want to go to jski.com, you can click on the link to 39 paint scheme page, and it looks like the Ford Auto Care car that Dale Jarrett drove back in the late 1990s when he was over at Robert Yates Racing and won his championship over there. So you can go take a look at that. That's a nice, decent-looking car there that Sieg will be running this weekend. Here's some more information out of NASCAR Xfinity Cup Series, or Sprint Xfinity Series. Sam Bass is to ride with Reed. Now, for those of you who don't know Sam Bass, he is a renowned artist of NASCAR memorabilia and paintings and different things. He's painted, pretty much every NASCAR driver and every car out there for as long as I can remember. He's been around. I know he's been around since the 80s doing this, and I'm sure it was way before that, before I ever knew Sam Bass. But it says NASCAR's first officially licensed artist and diabetes advocate, Sam Bass, will ride with Roush Fenway Racing driver Ryan Reed this weekend at Darlington Raceway. The Concord, North Carolina resident will have his name featured on the decal above the passenger side window in the number 16 Lilly Diabetes America Association Ford Mustang. Bass was diagnosed with diabetes more than 20 years ago and had had his share of complications related to the disease. In 2008, he lost the lower portion of his left leg, and since has had 3 bouts of sepsis, a serious blood infection that can lead to death. Today, Bass knows the importance of working with his doctors, eating right, and staying active as possible to avoid complications that lead to a normal life. Bass has shared the story of diagnosis in several American Diabetes Association's events, including the association's 2014 Father of the Year Awards in Charlotte. This Friday at Darlington Raceway, Bass will serve as a special role in number 16 and will do live painting of Lilly Diabetes 140th anniversary logo on the deck lid of the car that Reed will race on Saturday afternoon. Reed's Darlington paint scheme is the adaptation of Bobby Allison's 1975 Matador scheme, originally run by Penske Racing, which Bass helped adjust to fit Reed's current Ford Mustang. So that's for those of you who are dealing with diabetes, and I know quite a few people who are dealing with diabetes. This is a great thing with Sam Bass and what he's doing, and the American Diabetes Association. So if you got diabetes, take care of your health, make sure you're fit, exercise, you eat right. Candy bars is not going to do it, folks. You got to tighten up a little bit. Harmon, more information. Harmon's Darlington Throwback to tribute Neil Bonnet. Mike Harmon is giving tribute to his former good friend and neighbor, Neil Bonnet. Mike is a junior member of the Alabama gang, growing up only 15 minutes from Hueytown, Alabama. Last year, Mike drove the Davy Allison tribute car. It's only fitting that this year Mike and Bobby Roos are running the WCIparts.com car in honor of Neil Bonnet. Mike was very close to the Alabama gang, with Red Farmer being his crew chief early in Mike's NASCAR Busch Series career, but he is especially close with Neil. Mike said, Neil was a mentor to me, and I was a mentor to his son David, who also raced. I want to run this car in Neil's memory. He was a heck of a race car driver and an even better person. I still miss him. We are also sad to say that Neil's mother passed away last week, and that's a shame. But we hope this tribute to Neil's wife, Susan, and their children, David and Kristen, know that he is still in our heart. And that's from Mike Harmon Racing, and I am going to click on and check out that number 74 paint scheme and see what that looks like, because I was also a great fan of Neil Bonnet when he raced in the NASCAR, what is now the Sprint Cup Series, as well as he raced in what is now the Xfinity Series. And that's a good looking car. I love these old throwback schemes. They're simple. They're not flashy, but they get the job done, and they do a lot of, they bring back a lot of memories for people who've followed racing for decades, such as me, and a lot of other people out there, especially those guys who are doing it, in memory of some of the drivers that we forgot about. I know there are several of them, like Jimmy Means is being honored at Darlington this weekend. The Agger Supply Franklin Signs. Joey Gase announced that we'll be honoring team owner Jimmy Means. So that's great that Jimmy Means in the number 52 will be honored this weekend as well, because he was a great racer. He was one of those guys who fought and, scraped and scrounged and everything he could to get by week in and week out on the Sprint Cup Series, and had minimal success, but everybody knew who he was. He was there week in and week out. So there are he's getting the honor of having, he's being honored with a paint scheme, a throwback paint scheme this weekend at Darlington in the Xfinity Series as well. Cope names Darlington sponsor. That's Derek Cope. He is now in the Xfinity Series, and Darlington Throwback Weekend 2016 will mark the return of the iconic Rocket Red Chevrolet, driven to victory lane twice by Derek Cope during the 1990 Cup season with the Whitcomb Racing Team. The paint to the Point Custom Apparel is partnering with Derek Cope Racing with JP Motorsports as a primary sponsor for this event. Cope's Daytona NASCAR. Cope's Daytona 500 victory was followed up at Dover later in the season. 26 years later, Cope is the first competitor to drive his own throwback scheme as part of the primary sponsorship. To the Point Apparel has outfitted the Derek Cope Racing crew throughout the 2016 season, and will be featured as special throwback uniforms for the entire team this weekend to commemorate this historic event. As always, E-Hydrate will be aboard the number 70, providing premium protein on-the-go pouches and electrolyte infusion drink sticks. Associate sponsors include Supplies Unlimited, Glenn Brown Trucking, Sammy's Best Products by Associate, it's Best Life International, Fats Cafe, Ice Frost, and thank you to Ryan Daly Designs for rendering, and MTFX Graphics for the wrap of this legendary throwback scheme. And that comes out of Derek Cope Racing, and I'm going to take a look at that one, because I remember when Derek Cope won the Daytona 500. I don't know what this paint scheme is from here, but if I'm not mistaken, Derek Cope's paint scheme. There we go. Okay, I found the right one. I was looking at the wrong one there. I started to say he won in the Pure Later car, and it was red with white checkerboards and white with red checkerboard, and that's what it is here. I didn't scroll down far enough, but that looks like Derek Cope's old car. And if I'm not mistaken, he was into number 10, so they've sort of stylized the numbers, so it don't necessarily look like a 70. It does look like a 10, but it is a 70 on that car. But that's a throwback paint scheme, all right, that works well with Derek Cope and his 2 victories back when he won the Daytona 500. So good for him, and congratulations to him on having that and being able to drive his own throwback paint scheme. That's when you know you've been around racing for a couple of days, ladies and gentlemen, when they do throwback paint schemes and you've been there long enough that you can drive your own throwback paint scheme. That's like I said, good for Derek Cope and his continued effort to be relevant and stay in in the NASCAR racing series as long as he has. Another guy is in the number 89. That is Morgan Shepherd, and he has been around this. Folks, I'm telling you, he's got to be close. If not, he's knocking on the door. He's got to be really close to 80 years old. If he's not, I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm thinking that he's at least that old. I'm going to check it out here and see if I can't do a little bit of quick research and find out exactly a little bit more about Morgan Shepherd. But I know he raced for years and years and years for Bud Moore and that number 21 team over at the Wood Brothers Racing, Bud Moore. Bud Moore Racing. He raced years and years for Bud Moore, and it's kind of funny to see him out there still at this age and being competitive, and racing week in and week out, making the qualifying fields and things like that in the Xfinity Cups or the Xfinity Series. And I don't see his car number in here. He may be under the part-time teams that race week in and week out in the Xfinity Series. I say, week in and week out when they have the budget, when they can, when it's cars that are a little bit closer to their homes, and they've got the sponsorship to be able to get out there and race, then they'll do that. But checking on some updates here on my phone. Got some emails and stuff coming in, trying to check and see, make sure we don't have no more information on, coming out of NASCAR. Nope, looks like not. Okay, so we're good to go there. This JSKI website that I go to a lot to find out information about different things on here, it's a great website. But sometimes, and they usually have breaking news all the time. But sometimes, I'll get a email from some other source that I've got in NASCAR and be able to find out some more information. All right, so that does it for the Xfinity Series this weekend. Watch it on NBCSN, as well as the Sprint Cup Series you can watch on NBCSN, and tune in to those guys. This weekend, that's at Darlington. They have all got the throwback schemes for this weekend in the Sprint Cup Series as well as in the Xfinity Series. So tune in and check that out, and check out some of what some of those old cars used to look like. Not necessarily the same sponsors on some of them, not necessarily the same car numbers. I know this weekend and in the Sprint Cup Series, the number 16 of Greg Biffle will be carrying the throwback scheme of Alan Kowicki in the Hooters Ford. And so he'll have Hooters on the side of that car this weekend and have that throwback paint scheme from Alan Kowicki. But David Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, in the number 7 will also be running a paint scheme similar to that, but he won't have Hooters on the car. He'll have another sponsor on the car. So, but yeah, go to NBCSN this weekend. Tune in, find out. I'm not sure what it is on your channel, but you can tune in and see if you can't find out, what channel they're coming on, what time it comes on, and everything, and check out those throwback paint schemes. They look pretty sharp. According to this here, I'm looking at Saturday. NBC will have the race on. It won't be on NBCSN. It'll be on NBC. At 3 o'clock on Saturday is when the Xfinity race will be. The qualifying session for the Xfinity race will be on at 11:45 a.m. on Saturday. That will be on NBC Sports Network. So you can go to the NBC Sports Network, watch the qualifying, and then you can tune in to NBC, and you'll be able to watch the actual race live on Saturday from Darlington, and that's the Xfinity Series race there. Well, I'll give you a little bit. Okay, and now going to the Sprint Cup race. Same thing. NBC at 6 o'clock. Let me get this straight here now. Okay, so qualifying will be Saturday on NBCSN at 1:45 for the Sprint Cup Series. And then the race will be at 6 o'clock on Sunday night. So you can tune in Sunday night on NBC and watch the race live from Darlington, South Carolina, in those throwback paint schemes. And you'll get to see Jeff Gordon race once again with Tony Stewart. And hopefully he'll be able to put on a show there, and he could possibly win that race. All right, now moving on to the Camping World Truck Series for our last segment here in the racing series. We've got, like I said, the last weekend they raced up at Michigan, and John West Townley was on the pole there, but we did have a first-time winner in Brett Moffitt. He won the 17th Annual Careers for Veterans 200 presented by the Cooper Standard Foundation and Brett Keselowski's Checkered Flag Foundation. His first victory in 6 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races. So he was a first-time winner. And like I mentioned earlier, Kyle Larson was a first-time winner this past weekend at Michigan International Speedway, as well as Michael McDowell being a first-time winner in the Xfinity Series and up at Road America. So 3 winners, first time in all 3 divisions this past weekend. Like I said, it was the first victory and his first top 10 finishes in 2 races at Michigan. Timothy Peters was second, posted his 17th top 10 finish in 10 races at Michigan International. His 7th top 10 finish in 10 races. Started to say those numbers ain't adding up there, but I'm letting my eyes go faster than what I'm actually reading. Daniel Hemrick was 3rd in that race, followed by William Byron being in 4th place. William Byron still holds the points lead by 36 points over Daniel Hemrick in the Truck Series, followed by Timothy Peters, Johnny Sauter, Matt Craft, and Ben Kennedy. That's your top 6. 7th is Christopher Bell. 8th is John Hunter Nemechek. 9th is Cameron Haley, and 10th is Cole Custer. So you got a plethora of Toyotas and a few Chevrolets peppered in there in that Camping World Truck Series. So those Toyotas, they're on a dominant streak right here for the last few years. look for them to probably win the Owners' Championship with Kyle Busch, as well as the I would have to say as well as the Manufacturers' Championship. And the way it's going, and William Byron with his 5 wins, unless something bad happens and he starts performing bad, he could be your champion this year in the Truck Series. So that'll be I think it's the last 8 races of the season that comes that they run in they run for the chase for the championship. Like I said, Brett Moffitt, he won this past weekend at Michigan, first-time winner. And here's some news. The stream available to Canadian fans. Fox Sports Racing, which carries the full NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season live in Canada, is live streaming the Chevrolet Silverado 250 on Sunday from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Ontario, making the event available without restriction to all viewers in Canada through Fox Sports Racing. The Chevrolet Silverado 250 begins Sunday, September the 4th at 2:30 p.m. with William Byron, Kyle Busch Motorsports atop the point standings and inaugural Truck Series chase grid with 5 victories. The Fox Sports pre-race show, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series setup, also will be available via live stream beginning at 2 o'clock. Vince Welch, Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons call the action from Fox Sports booth with Hermie Sadler and Caitlin Vincey working the pits. So that's streaming live this weekend for the Canadian race fans up in Canada. You can watch the race there starting at 2 o'clock with the pre-race show. Gallagher fined following Michigan. Driver Spencer Gallagher has been fined $5,000 for a behavioral infraction following last weekend's race at Michigan International Speedway. Gallagher approached the racing surface or apron during the event, and so he was fined $5,000 for that. And we talked earlier about some guys getting in a scuffle this year when we were over at WGSO, about some guys getting some hefty fines over there. And these guys in the Truck Series, they don't make the money that the Sprint Cup Series guys make. So when they get fined, you got to look out, because that hurts. $5,000, they feel it in their pocketbook, folks. I mean, that's like, being broke on a Wednesday afternoon and you don't get paid till Friday, and you need to buy milk for the baby. That's the kind of deal it is in the Truck Series when you get hit in the pocketbook like that. You feel it, and you really feel it. But anyways, that's the Truck Series, and that's why I like the Truck Series so much, is because of the fact that those guys do put on a show up there. There are 32 trucks on the preliminary entry list for Sunday's Chevrolet Silverado 250 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Cody Ware's in the number 7. Austin Cedric is in the number 2. Justin Haley's in the 32. Wayne Edwards is in the 49. Gary Klutz in the 51. Norm Bennings in the 63. Camden Murphy's in the 71. Tyler Young returns to the 02 this week. So that is just some driver changes that will be happening this week for the 32 truck race, the 32 truck race field this weekend up at Canada Motorsports Park. And that rounds out, pretty much everything in NASCAR for this week. As far as things go, I will tell you that Fox Sports 2 will be televising the race this weekend. So not on Fox Sports 1, but it's on Fox Sports 2. It's on Sirius Channel 90, and it's also on MRN Radio. And you can go to MRN Radio. You can go to the app, or you can go to mrnradio.com and find a local station in your area and tune into the race on your radio. Or, most radio stations now, they are doing live streaming. So you can, click on your computer or go on to your their app on the radio. I know I've got an app on my radio for a local radio station here, and you'll be able to go on there and do that and listen to the race live through MRN. and that will be Sunday. It's at 2:30. I'm looking here. Make sure I'm right on this. Yeah, qualifying is 5:30 p.m. Saturday, September the 3rd. The race will be on Sunday at, it says here the official start time is 2:46 p.m., but, they like to make it, they call it 2:30 so that you can watch that first 15 minutes of commercials and pre-race introductions and the national anthem as well as, the prayer service and everything like that. So that first 15 minutes will happen, then the drivers will be in their truck getting them fired up and getting ready to roll. That is a road course up in Canada. For those of you who don't know and has never watched the race up there, that is a road course that the drivers drive on. And a lot of these teams, earlier this season, just a few weeks ago, you've seen a lot of these teams racing up at Eldora Speedway in Ohio on the dirt track. Well, a lot of these teams use their dirt cars as their road racing, or their dirt trucks as their road racing trucks, because they've only got one road race and they've only got one dirt race. And so, it's not that beneficial for them to build two or three trucks for a road course and build two or three trucks for a dirt course when they only run one and one. So what they do is they just change it up, change the suspension and a few other things, and put that road course set up in that truck, and they'll use that truck to run the road course instead of having to build a completely different truck for the road course and the dirt truck. Now, normally I would say that the larger teams that you would see, like the Motorsports or the KBMs in the truck series, or, the Brad Keselowskis and things like that, you might think that, well, those guys have got bigger budgets, so they build different trucks but that's not true. I've actually talked to the guys up at KBM before and talked to them about buying trucks from them for our NASCAR effort that we're trying to put together here in our truck team, and they told me, said, it'll be hard to buy a truck that is a dirt truck from us just because of the fact that we use our dirt trucks for our road course truck up in Canada as well. So, hopefully what will happen is over the next few years, NASCAR will be able to get another road course or another dirt track to sign on, and then they can do, something along the lines of making it more feasible for these guys to be able to build, two different trucks, one for a road course and one for a dirt track, instead of, possibly having to use the same truck for both events. Because you got to think about it. If they take that truck up to Eldora and they're racing up there on that dirt and they get in a bad wreck and they bend and twist that chassis up, it's not but just a few weeks. And I'm thinking 3 weeks ago we were at Eldora, and that's a quick turnaround to build a truck to go and run at another track. So, sometimes they might even buy another chassis from somebody, just to have to keep from building that chassis. But that is one of the things you run into when you got, one truck for both races. That's where you can run into a problem there with having to do that. So hopefully, NASCAR will get a couple more races on the schedule to where they're able to, build a truck for the road courses as well as build a truck for the dirt tracks, and that'll help those guys out there. But I can understand, using the same truck for both, since they only run a 1-in-1 deal. It's not like they've got multiple half-mile tracks or multiple short tracks that they run on each year so they can build a truck especially for those, or, a super speedway truck like Daytona and Talladega. So, they got trucks. They got different trucks for each of those divisions or each of those different lengths of tracks that they run on. For the most part, these race teams do. So that's what they normally do, is build 2 or 3 trucks for each of those tracks, and then they're able to do the if they do crash one of those trucks at one of those tracks, then they've got a backup, as well as they got a spare truck sitting at the shop that they can use in that case. So that's what we're looking at as far as the NASCAR Xfinity Cup Series, or excuse me, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and that's where that'll be. We are going to, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over and check our NASCAR.com site, and you can log on there and find out a lot of this information that I give you here from, that come from Jayski. You can go over to NASCAR and find a lot of it, but then sometimes they do have a little bit different information that you don't see, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, or I didn't realize that. So there's always, I like to search around and find out, and we got some guys over here playing Golden Tee golf, and they're having a large time at it, and you can hear them getting a little bit loud here in the DVC Bar and Grill. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is steak night. For $15, you get a 14-ounce steak and 2 sides, as well as I think it's garlic bread with that here at the DBC Bar and Grill. Now that's a great price. Tomorrow night is the hamburger steak night. You get a hamburger steak smothered with gravy and onions, grilled onions, and you get 2 sides with that also, as well as garlic bread, and that is some great eating. If you want a good steak, or if you want a good hamburger steak, come out tomorrow night to DBC Bar and Grill. Try that hamburger steak out. Come out tonight. You still got plenty of time. They're here until the crowd is gone, and then that's when they decide to close up. But you can come over here and you can eat a nice steak as well as get 2 sides with that at the DBC Bar and Grill. Also, they got some great daiquiris over here. They got a full bank of daiquiris. They got some house specials. Want to let everybody know that tomorrow night starts off college football. They got $10 domestic buckets of beer that you can purchase. It don't cost you anything to get in tomorrow night. And you can come watch college football. You can come watch Saints football, as well as they'll be doing everything on Saturday and Sunday. Throughout the college football season, throughout the Saints football season, you can come in and buy $10 domestic buckets. And that's a great deal there. And then when they have the UFC fight nights, everybody knows that's a pay-per-view deal. Instead of paying, $99 or whatever it is for that pay-per-view in the UFC fighting, come out to the DBC Bar and Grill. It'll only cost you $5 to get in. They've got that same $10 domestic bucket that you can buy here at the DBC Bar and Grill, as well as they got some drink specials at different times. I know on Friday night, Friday from 11 until dark, until the sun goes down, you can get, they have happy hour on Friday. So you can come out for a happy hour all day on Friday and drink to your heart's content. And then you can grab you an Uber or a Lyft or whatever one of those ride shares are, or they'll call you a cab right here at the DBC Bar and Grill. And you can get you a cab and go home and be safe and come back the next morning and get your vehicle and take off. That's it for us tonight here at the DBC Bar and Grill. We want to thank everybody for listening. This is going up on the podcast on the Lanterns Radio Network, so everybody can listen to it later on if you wish to. And we look forward to, I know the guys over at the Lantern Radio Network that are working on this this platform that we broadcast from here. They're working on some new innovations here so that we can get some callers to call in. And so we look forward to doing that in the very near future, being able to have you call in on our program live here from the DBC Bar and Grill on Wednesday nights. We will be having the show truck coming up next week, depending on what the weather looks like. Hopefully it won't be raining, but we're planning on bringing the show truck out next weekend so everybody can take a look at it. As well as we'll be able to, we're probably going to have it here for Saturday night as well to let everybody take a look at it, during college football night while everybody's here. We'll be able to do the same thing. But coming from you live from DBC Bar and Grill, that's 1001 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, Louisiana. Come on out, have a great steak. Come out tomorrow night, have a hamburger steak. whichever one you choose to do. But come on out to the DBC Bar and Grill and enjoy. And we look forward to talking to you next week. We will be over at LA 36 Speedway this weekend, broadcasting live. It's the Labor Day weekend race. And then coming up in a couple of weeks, they've got a $1,000 to win event going on over there. So stay tuned, come back with us, and check that out. This is Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports.